Hi everyone, good evening. We're going to compare GPT 5.6, Kimi K3, Gemini, and then Fable 5, and then use the same prompt, use the same input, use the same design, and see how they turn out. The first one is we're going to make it kind of challenging. We're going to feed it a ton of context. So we're talking about 5,000 lines of context, and AI can choose to read them as they need to. And then the context themselves have its own indexing, so AI should be able to intelligently traverse what's in each one. There's catalogs, there's things that help AI traverse, so it's kind of also testing out if AI can traverse quite a bit of context to do a thing. Second, we're also going to be feeding in a common design. So all the websites should look closer to similar. However, right, each one will be different. This will be done using Google Stitch. And this is the top of the Stitch file. And then this is really the design that was fed in. So has a general concept. This is what Google Stitch generated, so that all four models would be starting from the same design. And in theory, it should look a lot better than this page, which is my professional blogs and video page. While it's very functional and it works, right, it's certainly not what I would consider premium. Third thing is that we added additional prompt here called premium storytelling. So here we're trying to do a bit of exploring. I'm trying to explore different types of presentation material, and calling out Adobe as well. I think their Slick website looks very cool, and the fact that I can scroll and it tells you stories, which is I think is very neat. And this is a concept I'm trying to borrow from. Where all four model runs, we're going to have three files. We're going to have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then leveraging a ton of context, a design, and some storytelling. We'll see how models do. So we're kind of judging it based on the model's ability to interpret the situation, its ability to process a ton of context. Is it making up things, or is it doing a good job of doing premium storytelling using a design? First up, we have is ChatGPT 5.6 Soul, and this model has been released recently, and it's similar to Fable 5 from ChatGPT. When I first get to this screen, it looks quite nice. This is one of my favorite home screens. I don't know if I love the navigation here, but yeah, I like the home screen quite a bit. As I scroll, the website looks pretty. I don't know if I needed the second slide here to kind of before we get to the actual stuff, but it is what it is. Yeah, as I'm scrolling, I don't know if I love it, but it certainly does its functions. And I noticed that the navigation bar is not lighting up as I'm scrolling, so that's not great. I do notice that there's a scroll bar up at the very top, but that's not very visible. But overall, the aesthetics looks clean. I think he did a good job of mirroring Stitch. This is a carousel build. I like what it did with the overlapping, so that's nice. Then there's animation when I scroll, which is quite the upside, so that's great. And one of the things I didn't like about this one is that there's clickable elements, but it doesn't do anything, so that's disappointing. And then, yeah, and then the codecs really failed here. This is where, for a premium model, I did not expect this screen to ever come up. This is something that's definitely quite a bit of oversight by the model. But yeah, overall, I would just say visually it looks pleasing. However, it does have visual flaws. And looks like there's a slider here, which is good, which is accurate. I like this slider. Anywho, I would say that Codex did a fairly good job. This is highly usable as a base. I would definitely use this, and and we'll see how the other models do. And then the second model we'll be looking at today is Kimi K3. This is where, if you hear the news recently about another Chinese model that's open weight, open source, this is one of them that's competing with the top models. And historically, I always like their models because A, they're cheaper, and then B, they can actually give you an API key for the slides and everything else that you do on the cloud. One of the nice things I really like about them is I actually really like their decks. You can literally pass in a few markdowns from a code base, and it actually builds you very usable slides that's editable and it's informative. It's something that I would be happy taking it to a conference to. and really explaining the work as I'm not reading the slide, but kind of talking through it. But if you want more details, it's accurate. It's full of accurate information that they were managed to put together. Anyways, I was always pleased with how Kimi is able to generate slides, and it is I use it quite a bit. All right, so let's look at Kimi K's work. First, you'll notice that this screen looks a little bit different. Still, I like the GPT more, but I like the scrolling thing here. I like that it's not a ton of information before we get to the materials. So I noticed the navigation bar starts lighting up. That's something that GPT did not have, that it has here. And I didn't like the O1 here, but this is one of the things that, it potentially could have came from the Stitch model. That's very dark and hard to see. Maybe it's pretty. I don't know. I don't know how accessible this is. This animation seems nice. It's kind of a nice way of showing things. I like the scrolling. I like quite a bit. Overall, I think its look and feel is on par with ChatGPT. The carousel didn't have the cool effect the other one had, but it's functional carousel. Now, this is what I really like. There's two animations here I really like. So you see here is one of those things that's like tough to demonstrate agentic stuff. And then here you can kind of have two things talking to each other. It shows in the next text format. And then here, it also has an animation when I scroll down, numbers counted up. So that's nice. And similar to ChatGPT, it has the animation of stuff showing, stuff moving up. And this looks nice. And one thing that this did really well is I actually picked out the five parts of my talk. So it was able to dive deep into the context. So that's really good. So Kimi was able to understand the 5,000 lines a little bit better than ChatGPT and able to, build a bunch of this. This visual is good. I like this visual in terms of telling us in terms of a process, what it could do and different capabilities. Yeah, overall, I would say that this is nice. However, yeah, this is the part I didn't like, is that this is probably off all the frontier models. This thing completely missed the mark. It made up a bunch of stuff, and yeah, I did not like this thing. But yeah, other than that, I would say this is good. I like this, I would say, overall than Codex. The navigation works better. There's not glaring defects like the ChatGPT one. ChatGPT has a glaring hole. And I think the bottom is very cool. I didn't ask for this, I don't think, but it kind of plotted my different projects to different categories in a nice timeline. I think it's a nice touch. I'm happy that AI is taking the premium storytelling to another level, which is great. Okay, moving right along. This is the third model, Gemini 3.5. We won't spend too long here. This is certainly the most disappointing model of the four we tested. It looks basic. Things doesn't look great, and then it's not the best premium storytelling. The scrolling animation is extremely lacking, and I don't know what this is. And yeah, it's pretty terrible. So we're gonna, sorry Google, we're gonna move on to the next one. And this is Claude. So here Claude decided to open with this chart, very similar to Kimi. However, Claude even made it navigatable, which is cool. So if I clicked on one of them, it would have taken me to the part that I talked about. So very cool way of showing visually what's going on and doing storytelling over timeline. Very well executed. I don't like that these things are on two separate lines, so not great. Yeah, I'm scrolling. I can see that this is lighted up, so that's kind of good. I don't like how flashy these are. These are too bright. I'm trying to read here, and yeah, this is distracting. So that's not great from a storytelling perspective. We tried a little bit too hard with the animation. But overall, this looks very premium. Fable did a really great job of interpreting the design system. I also give points for that too, where I think Fable took in the design system very well from Stitch. And then I think, yeah, this did extremely well. Very similar to Kimi K. It did the animation here really well. Here it animated a little bit. Yeah, I actually like the carousel the most in terms of this. It saves space. The thing I didn't like about Kimi is that it was too long. And then, yeah, I like the animation. I'm scrolling. I do not like this animation. It's hard for me to read this text if there's a bunch of stuff flashing like this. I don't like that. Let's see. Yeah, this works. This is definitely one of the better ones. That was well executed. Yeah, I don't know if I like the shading here. So anyways, there's definitely elements I don't like. But overall, this is great. I actually like this quite a bit. In terms of Fable. So we compare all four models. I would probably rank Fable as number one, Kimi as number two, Codex number three, and especially when Codex literally had missing content on its HTML. Again, very disappointing for a leading model to do that. Like, what is this? All right, so I guess it is a one shot, but we're comparing state of the art models now. So the next thing I did is I took all four of them and I told AI to merge it together. And this is super important because sometimes, right, there's clearly elements I like and don't like about each one. So what I did is I actually took notes while I was doing this on a sheet of paper like this one. And I took a picture, I'll upload it to Fable 5. So notes like this. And then pluses are good, minuses are bad, right? And then I had AI ask me this, 8 multiple choice questions on, so in case AI didn't understand what my scribbles are, AI, then from the scribbles, AI built a combined page of what I liked from all the elements. So one of the huge benefits of doing this is that I'm not a designer, so certainly seeing things in 4 different ways, I do have some taste. So I'm happy that I can take what I like from all 4 and combine to one. So after doing that, so now we have a combined, happy one of all of them. HTML from the best of the 4. So here I really like ChatGPT's home screen, so he did that. I like the animation. I like the scrolling from Kimi. So here it's kind of a combination of everything I liked. Here is the navigation that I like from Claude. But however, it took more of the Kimi's HTML, which I think was a more faithful implementation of the original Google Stitch. So it took a lot of functionality from HTML and then turned to Google Stitch. I also told AI to make this more dim as well. When animated, stop animating, so it's not overly aggressive with the animations. So I did a really good job doing that. And then I love the scrolling. Right, it's clear to me that at least for my taste, the combined result is by far the superior one. Right, so here I have the animation from Kimi and Claude. Here the numbers are counting up. Overall, yeah, I'm very happy with the combined result. I like the carousel, so I took the carousel view of this. So now we have a carousel there. And then, yeah, I like this as well. So yeah, I took this, and yeah, overall, this outcome is quite good. And yeah, I like the cloud version of this, and they kept the cloud one. So it's great that we're able to, do this test with all 4 frontier models. And I was able to take what I like from each one and then, put it all together into one final output. So that's something that could be potentially worked on for many different tasks, not just doing storytelling with HTML. Yeah, finally, if you watched this far, thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Certainly, I'm very fortunate to have ability to access all frontier models at a very good capacity, so I'm able to run these tests without draining a ton of my subscription. I do have a active paid subscription in each one, so yeah, hopefully from this video you learned quite a bit, and if you choose a frontier model, all 3 of them are good. ChatGPT certainly at both the $20 price point and the $100 price point gets you further than Fable. Fable is clearly the state-of-the-art model that's everyone's competing against. Kimi K3 is good if you like its deck building capabilities. I literally pay Kimi $20 a month so I can build decks like this, and also runs a bunch of my stuff on the cloud. Anyways, I hope everyone have a great night, and thank you for watching.